point of entry, a gateway, the little sister brand. Since its inception in 1946, Tudor Watch has been seen as something as a stepping stone on the road to ultimate Rolex ownership, as two parts of the same horological empire. For most of their history, this was true, but since its shockingly successful 2009 international relaunch, Tudor has become a collecting pursuit in its own right. So, has the journey become the destination? We compare the Tudor Pelagos LHD and the Rolex Submariner, the Hulk, to find out. Rolex is the first name in watches, so let's consider the Submariner first. Way back in 2003, we saw the first LV, the green bezel trailblazer for today's hero. That one was nicknamed Kermit. 2010 witnessed the launch of both the stainless steel sub-ceramic bezel and the all-green model featured here. This greener and grander Rolex flagship earned the moniker Hulk, but while the literary Hulk is a supporting character at best, the green sub is a superstar. Despite entering its 9th year of production, the green sub C has never been more in demand than it is today. Incredibly, this intended novelty watch has superseded the standard model as the sub of the moment. 40mm has been the official measurement of every modern-era Submariner since Rolex's Annus Mirabilis of 1988. While technically the same size as the old 5-digit, a 6-digit sub feels larger and more substantial. Across the wrist, the true measurement of this watch for 99.9% of buyers is the sub's end-link stance. Since collector accessory straps haven't been a major thing on subs since holes in the lugs vanished in 2003, most will wear this watch on the factory SEL bracelet. And at 12.7mm thick, the sub surprises, surprisingly thin. Rolex 904L low-carbon steel is more corrosion-resistant than 316, but this is more academic than tangible. It is, however, far more tarnish-resistant than any brushed titanium. Rolex's stamped rather than machined case construction opens a gap over many rivals that are fabricated for less money using machined or CNC. The trip-lock, crown, and oyster-screwed-in case back permit 300-meter water resistance. The sub's reference 97200 bracelet is identical to that of its LN running mate. Unlike the posh Yachtmaster, all links are satin finished on their tops. Modern Rolex is a genius for bracelet design, and these links aerate while protecting against pinches and pulls. The clasp itself feels like a Brinks truck built by a watchmaker. A clamshell lock fits flush with the clasp body on both the top and the flanks. A Rolex Glide Lock system offers 20mm of tool-free adjustment in 2mm increments. It's like being able to add or subtract 4 full removable links, and those removable links are fixed by screws. The dial of the Hulk was built as green gold when the model launched at Basel 2010, and the moniker fits. A lustrous sunburst of deep grain and explosive metallic tones, it is a sensation. In any environment, this dial seems to reflect back more intensity than the ambient light provides. The Sub LV appears to have a life force of its own and a self-propelled, shimmering aura of sparkle. Historically, green has been the Rolex corporate color. The firm actually has a department called Rolodeco that does nothing but plan ways to festoon dealer showrooms with green garnish. If you're a collector who bleeds green, this is your watch. White gold indices, hands, and Rolex crown offer substantial legibility by day. Rolex's distinctive blue chromolite lume is present in force on the dial, but the bezel features only the sapphire-capped luminescent pearl. It's barely adequate by modern dive watch standards. The Cyclops eye is present and polarizing as ever. You love it or you hate it. By the way, a no-date Hulk would break the internet. Are you out there, Rolex? Finally, the bezel itself features a deep circumferential grip system of rich knurling profile. The green Cerachrom ceramic is scratch-resistant, unique to this model, and filled with platinum deposits. Its action feels refined and redolent of money spent in pursuit of perfection. Rolex fits its tried-and-true manufacture caliber 3135 to the Submariner. This movement has been with us in one form or another since 1988, and to be perfectly honest, it's a triumph of incremental upgrade over meaningful innovation. Automatic winding employs a jeweled staff rotor pivot, bidirectional action, and Teflon-coated reversing wheels that favor refinement above all. There is no rattle, there is no wobble, but the 48 hours of power reserve is only adequate, nothing more. Rolex offers a guaranteed level of chronometric performance, or at least it has on each sub since 2016. The Geneva Giant gets the COSC certification on its bare movement, cases the caliber, and assures -2 + 2 seconds per day, no worse. The first substantive basis for Rolex's long-running superlative chronometer dial declaration. But don't be swayed by marketing. Every Rolex Hulk made can be adjusted to meet that standard. Every example ever crafted has been adjusted as a finished watch by Rolex, and there was no mechanical change to the calibers pre and post. They're all superlative. The watch carries a 5-year warranty since July 1st, 2015, so take note of the purchase date if buying pre-owned. And now let's consider the challenger, the Tudor Pelagos left-hand drive. While the Tudor Black Bay is the headliner and the pure nostalgia play in the Tudor catalog, the Pelagos is a vintage-inflected but unapologetically modern diver in the Tudor quiver. It's the true modern heir to the legacy of the Tudor Submariners of the 50s through the 90s and the Hydronaut series of the 2000s. The basic Pelagos bout at Basel 2012 gained an in-house Tudor movement in 2015 and appeared in today's left-hand drive form in late 2016. Tudor's 42mm Grade II brushed titanium case is a signature of the Pelagos family, and I cannot overstate this, it's an ambidextrous case. 50mm lug-to-lug is the stance, and the hinged end links of the bracelet are inboard of the lug tips. Muted satin finish helps to cloak the blockish profile of the Pelagos. Unlike the chunky polished steel black bays, the Pelagos has a more purposeful and utilitarian air about it. And given the disappearance of Rolex's minimal lug bevels a decade ago, the mechanically applied lug bevels of the Pelagos are a wistful nod to tradition and well chosen for the complexity they add to the slab sides. The crown guards feature additional nods to Rolex and Tudor heritage. Their pointy profile is a tribute to early 60s Rolex Tudor divers without descending into the borderline of neo-retro cliches as seen on the Black Bay. Fans of straps and bracelets can make common cause in support of the Pelagos. The watch ships with both a titanium bracelet and a natural rubber dive strap, and Tudor's bracelet is a marvel. It's as comfortable as the Rolex, but the shock is that the Tudor bracelet doesn't feel less substantial in spite of the colossal price disparity and the Tudor's use of wispy titanium. Sizing is by removable screw-fixed links, so no money is saved by resorting to the pin sleeve system common in this price range. The Tudor clasp features incremental adjustment, dynamic elastic adjustment, and a full fold-out dive extension. Yes, the clasp features all three. The first incremental adjustment is for comfortable adjustment ashore. The elastic system adjusts to your wrist as it expands or contracts during a dive, and the fold-out is a no-joke diving suit countermeasure. Over 50mm of total adjustment is possible. Finally, ceramic bearing snaps inside the clasp maintain tight tolerances over time. Screw-down crown, caseback, 500-meter water resistance, and a helium escape valve for saturation dives surpass the physical limits of the Submariner and allowed the modest $4,400 US Pelagos to open a second front against the $11,350 Sea Dweller 43 and the $12,250 Deep Sea, Rolex's more hardcore divers. Neither purely retro nor entirely contemporary, the Pelagos LHD dial is a judicious blend. The dial is a tribute to the well-loved Tudor Submariner snowflake dials of the late 60s to mid-70s. Each of the indices in the hands of the left-hand drive model feature a slight tinge of vintage tritium-inspired off-white fade, but in an act of mercy, Tudor doesn't descend into the cloying brown fraud that dominates nostalgia-driven divers. Tudor creates a unique aesthetic by slotting the indices into recesses in the Rayhaut second scale and imparts impressive depth. even the green sub's legendary look appears flat by comparison. Matte black is an ideal base for a tool watch, and the anti-reflective properties serve as a handsome complement to the dull tones of the Lume, Sub, and Sea Dweller-inspired Pelagos Marquis and the roulette date. Yes, the Pelagos LHD rocks a roulette dial. Also inspired by history, the red evens and the black odds add another layer of charm to a watch that is already flush with it. If there is any cause for complaint, it's the sardine can worth of literature printed at the base of the dial. You won't be allowed to forget that Tudor is part of the Rolex universe, and Rolex is the William Faulkner of dial text. Indices are applied, not printed, but their bases are colored to match the color of the Lume by day. It creates a seamless look that echoes the printed profile of vintage Tudor subs. Get ready to be blown away by Lume. Among dive watches, the fully lumed ceramic bezel of the Pelagos puts all Rolex rivals to shame. And the micro-coining of the bezel sticks to the finger like sandpaper. It's the clear victor over the sub for grip. Tudor's long love affair with ETA is drawing to a close, and the Pelagos left-hand drive boasts the latest manufacture caliber MT5612. At first glance, it has a great deal in common with Rolex: a full balance bridge, a free-sprung balance, bidirectional winding, and a 4 Hz rate. But its 70-hour power reserve is a generation ahead of this Rolex, as is the use of an anti-magnetic silicon hairspring. A bearing is used rather than the smooth jeweled staff of the Rolex. This adds durability at the expense of significantly more rotor noise. Although certified to the COSC standard for a Swiss chronometer, Tudor makes no specific claim in excess of the COSC, as Rolex does. Finally, this movement is industrial in the extreme. Tudor's use of a display caseback on some models is ghastly, and less is actually more here thanks to the left-hand drive's solid caseback. And now, we score the face-off. Tudor Pelagos left-hand drive. What's it got going for it? Well, first and foremost, it is lighter and more comfortable on the wrist. The addition of both strap and bracelet adds style options as well as value. No Cyclops eye, and guess what? You can read the date just fine. An unbeatable clasp. Only the Rolex Deep Sea can compare for sheer feature content. Power reserve. 70 hours simply beats 48. A better dive watch overall. On lume, on bezel grip, on depth, helium valve inclusion, and anti-magnetism. Pre-owned, this Tudor costs 1/3 the price of a pre-owned green sub. New, this Tudor costs less than half the price of that same sub. The Rolex Submariner has advantages of its own. This green sub is insanely popular at the moment. This timepiece is immune to depreciation at least until the next global economic correction. It's worth more pre-owned. The bezel action has the better detent of the two. It feels like money. The green dial is an original, a legend, and a future classic. The somewhat confused Tudor can't decide whether it's a modern watch or a vintage tribute. And the Tudor's rotor rattles like a rampant snake. The silent Rolex glides like silk. Rolex's bracelet and clasp feel solid enough to stop a bullet. Even considering the price, it feels more expensive than it is. Finally, Rolex offers a 5-year warranty to Tudor's too. Which one's for me? Well, the Rolex pushes all of my buttons. It's green, very green. And despite the Rolex badge, it doesn't feel like a corporate or committee product. The feel and the look justify the price, even the pre-owned price. And in 2010, this thing was a shocker from the Oyster Perpetual people. But this isn't 2010, and there's a better diver among the constellation of Rolex stars. Tudor offers color and charisma to match the Hulk blow for blow. It's also the superior diver and daily left-hand driver. Make mine the lefty. My choice wears a Tudor shield.